From the land of 10,000 lakes and just as many heartaches, welcome to the 301 Show. We're here to celebrate, commiserate, and maybe, just maybe, see a Minnesota team win it all. Whether you're dreaming of a Vikings Super Bowl, reliving the glory days of the Twins, or still recovering from the Timberwolves roller coaster, we've got you covered. This is the 301 Show, where the North remembers and the passion never fades.
Yes, and welcome into episode 36 of the 301 Show. We've got a great episode on tap today. We'll go over the Vikings Week 1 game on Monday night against the Chicago Bears. We also go over a report that has come out about the Kirill extension, and the Lynx season continues as they barrel their way towards the playoffs. All of that and more upcoming here on episode 36 of the 301 Show. All right, moving on to the Wolves Den here. The couple of things here for each team. Obviously, the Lynx have a lot more to talk about because they are actually playing, and the Wolves have not made any recent moves. So we'll start with the Lynx. They are 33-10 on the season. They are number one in the league, 86.4 points per game. That is number one. Field goal shooting percentage is 47.3%. That is number one. 3-point shooting percentage is 38.0. That is also number one. Free throw percentage is tied for 11th at 76.2%. Rebounds per game is 34.1 at 6th in the league. Blocks per game, 4.8. That is third in the league. The turnover differential is minus 1.9, which is 12th. Again, we've harped on that too much at this point, so that's their biggest cause for concern at this point is that turnover differential. The points against per game is 77.2. That is third in the WNBA. The field goal percentage against, shooting percentage against is 42.6%. That is fourth. The 3-point shooting percentage against is 33.7%. That is ninth. The rebounds against per game is 33.2. That is tied for fifth. And they are only getting blocked 2.8 times per game. That is second lowest in the WNBA. They had 3 games since last week. They played at Las Vegas. They lost that one 97-87. The Aces are red hot at this point. They are on a 14-game winning streak, and if the seeds work out, I don't know exactly where the Aces are in the standings, but it looks like we are on a collision course for a Lynx versus Aces WNBA Finals at this point, with how well that they are playing as of late. Then they went to play the Golden State Valkyries. They win that one 78-72. Take home the win. And then they play the Caitlin Clark-less Indiana Fever, and they lose that one 83-72. That was the Fever's last game of the regular season. They will be playing in the playoffs. Looking ahead here, they only have one game left. It is against the Golden State Valkyries that they just played this past week, and it is at home. So again, the Lynx are on a roll here. Collier did not play against the Fever, but it looks like, by all signs, she will be back for the playoffs, which is massive because she is by far and away the best player on this team. And again, that's no hate to any of the other players, but she is more of a compliment to her on how good she actually is. And it looks like she is the front runner as of right now for the league's MVP too. And so having her in the playoffs is a massive help, for this team. It makes them as good as they are. Moving over to the other side of Target Center, the Timberwolves are getting ready for their season to start. do want to say condolences to Naz Reid and his family after his sister was killed in a shooting. So condolences to the Reid family about that. So the on ESPN, Kevin Pelton. There's never a good way to transition out of that. So we'll just make a blunt transition. Kevin Pelton on ESPN. I did not realize this. This happened a while ago, but he did grade the every move made this offseason, and he graded the Randall and Reid re-signings. So Randall staying on a 3-year, $100 million deal, he gave that one a B, and Naz Reid getting 5 years, $125 million, he gave a C minus. Now, do I think that I will say I do think the Randall contract is probably a better contract right now. But I do think signing Naz Reid to 5 years, $125 million is also a good contract, a good re-signing. I think if you want your fans to stay engaged, again, they are seeing this with their neighbors. If you do want the fans to stay engaged, you're going to have to bring back the fan favorites. And Naz Reid, it's either him or Anthony Edwards, and I make an argument that he very well could be the number one fan favorite in for this team. I do think getting a C minus is fair in the sense of if you look at his playoff consistency and in this last playoff run, which he wasn't super consistent. But I think overall, Naz Reid deal deserves a better grade than a C minus. I do think at minimum it should be a C plus to a B minus. But I like the Randall being a B. That probably is a fair grade to give the Randall signing. So it'll be interesting again with Randall too. I've mentioned this about Dante. It'll be interesting too. It goes to Randall as well. It's interesting to see if having a full training camp and where you don't have to feel like you're just settling into a new place, if that helps him at all, which it should. Keyword is should. I don't know if it 100% will, but it should. And having chemistry with your teammates from day one should help a lot too. So I think that'll be having those two around, those two being Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle around from day one of this season is fantastic in terms of team chemistry, because it took them a while to get going this past season. So the fact that they were able to get going and play so well is great. And if that can start right away from the first game, and you don't have to worry about maybe they're going to get in and maybe they're not, and are they going to be a play-in team, and it comes down to the last game where they finally get the 6th seed. Maybe they have a non-play-in playoff spot secured already, by the last couple weeks, and they're maybe not mathematically secured, but probably secured in that spot, and you don't have to worry about that. And then maybe the playoffs go better too. So I think, having those two around right at the beginning. Now, also, do I think that they could make another deal right before training camp? It's Tim Conley. Absolutely, I think they could. I don't know. I'm not going to say 100% if I think they will or not, but I think they very well could. So keep an eye on that. Do not be surprised if they make some sort of move right before the right before the season starts. So, moving on here to the predictions. I had one prediction come off the board from this past week. I said that the Lynx will win 3 of their final 4 games, at least 3 of their final 4 games. They've lost 2 of them thus far. They've got 1 more of the final 4 remaining, but it does not matter. They cannot win 3 out of 4. So that brings my total to 23 of 74 for 31%. Got 3 new ones coming on the board here, and at least a couple of them should be off by next week. So moving on here. First prediction is that Collier will be back for the playoffs and will score 30-plus points in Game 1. The second prediction is that the Lynx will win the final regular season game of the season, and they will sweep the first round matchup. Whoever they are playing, they will sweep in the first round. So those are my 3 predictions for the Wolves' Den. All right, moving on now to Target Field Talkers. The Twins are playing the Angels right now as I am recording this, so these numbers won't be fully up to date for the statistics at least, but we can maybe get a final score update as we go along here. They are down 4-3 in the top of the 9th to the Angels in the last game of that series. We can go over it more in next week's episode in detail. But they are 64-81 right now. The AL Central race, they are 4th. They are 11th in the wild card race. Again, the only team worse than them in the American League is the Chicago White Sox. And there are only 2 teams worse than them in the National League. As for the hitting rankings, their batting average is .239. That is tied for 24th. On base percentage is .312. That is 21st. Slugging percentage, .397. That is 17th. On base percentage is .709. That is tied for 16th. Runs scored, 614, 24th. Home runs, they are actually 14th, right in the middle of the pack, with 171. Walks, 446 at 20th. Strikeouts, 1,206. That is 15th. Stolen bases, 91. That is 19th. ERA on the pitching side of it is 4.60. That is 24th. WHIP is 1.33. That is tied for 22nd. Strikeouts is 1,216. That is 15th. Walks, they have 5th fewest. That is 413. Errors, they have committed 75 errors on the season. They have been booting the ball around lately. They are 18th in errors. They are tied for 17th in fielding percentage with 985. So that is where they rank in all of those statistical categories. If we look back at, I'll go over the 2 series that they completed here in the last week. We'll go over the Angels series more next week. But they had a 4-game series against the White Sox that we started to talk about last week. They committed 4 errors across the 4 games. I believe they had 1 in Game 1, 2 in Game 2, 0 in Game 3, and 1 in Game 4. But then in Game 1, they were up 5-4 after 7 innings, and they lost 6-5. They were up 3-1 after 4 in Game 2. They lost 12-3. They were up 3-1 after 8 in Game 3. They lost 4-3. In Game 4, they were up 7-4 after 6, and they lost 11-8. So, fantastic series here for the Twins playing the Chicago White Sox, who again set the record for the worst winning percentage in the entire league last season, and they got swept by them. And they are, if the season wasn't over earlier, even at the fire sale, if you thought they still had a chance, it's over now. They are just on to 2026. But they had a 3-game series in Kansas City. On to 2026. I do have an idea from Trevor Plouffe. He was on the Skor North Twin Show. But we will talk about that momentarily here. I do want to get on to this Kansas City series. In Game 1, they lost 2-1. They committed 2 errors in that game. They Game 2 lost 11-2. And in Game 3, they actually won a game, their first win in the month of August. In the month of September. This summer has absolutely flown by. They won 5-1 in Game 3 for their first win. They, starting tomorrow on this day that I'm recording this on Wednesday. They start, not tomorrow, on Friday. They start a 3-game series against the Arizona Diamondbacks on Friday. And then early next week, they start a 3-game series versus the New York Yankees. So they've got 6 games in the next, end of this week, early next week. All of them at home. I believe they have 3 more home games after that. I believe they're on a 9-game homestand. Let's go. I hinted, or I brought it up a little bit before. Trevor Plouffe had this idea on the Skor North Twin Show. They were talking on the Skor North Twin Show about different ways to get fans back into the stadium, and Trevor Plouffe brought up this idea and get fans back in the stadium and help guys out in with the hitting side of it, like the young guys. And Trevor Plouffe had brought up how he had like a mentor in his early days of his playing career, and he had brought up how Matt Wallner has a swing that looks a lot like Mike Moustakas, and Mike Moustakas could reach out, or like he could connect. He knows Mike Moustakas. He could connect Matt Wallner and Mike Moustakas to help have Mike help mentor Matt. That wasn't his idea to get fans back in the stadium, but it was the broader idea was. But that was his point for this, or his starting point for this was have Matt Wallner and Mike Moustakas connect on the on that part. His idea, though, was, and they had talked about this before, was bringing guys back from earlier teams to help, not to play. Obviously, you're not going to bring Kepler back. You're not going to bring Sano back, but bring guys in that were faces of this team, and bring them back. And he mentioned Justin Morneau is a part of the broadcast team, and that's fantastic. That's, people get to see Justin Morneau, and he's one of the most beloved players in the 2000s for the Twins. He was part of the M&M squad with Joe Mauer, and again, great way to keep fans engaged is bring back a beloved player like that. But his idea was to bring Torrey Hunter into the coaching staff, either as the manager or just some sort of hitting coach or a bench coach. And he said, this is allegedly, that Torrey Hunter would be open to at least discussing it. So if Torrey Hunter's open to it, then, and Torrey Hunter, again, one of the best hitters in recent Twins history, then, and if he had a great, personality for the clubhouse and the dugout, it was fantastic, a fantastic decision to be the manager if he does end up doing that, if the Twins end up going in that direction. Now the question would be, what happens to Rocco then? Obviously they picked up his team option for 2026, so he's going to be the manager, or he's under contract for 2026. I think there's 2 ways to look at this, and I think he either gets moved to a front office role, and like Bruce Arians did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know that's the NFL, but Bruce Arians moved to the front office, and he stopped being their head coach and he moved to the front office. So he could do that, Otherwise, I think the more likely option is he ends up being the fall guy for 2025. I think the higher ups will, I don't know if I agree with him being the fall guy for 2025, but I think the higher ups in the front office for this Twins team end up blaming him and saying, hey, we're trying to make changes. Fans come back and they fire Rocco. So I think that could very well be a an option for Rocco in this front office. So I think Torrey Hunter as the manager would be fantastic. So let me know what you think about that down in the comments down below. We do have some predictions here, and predictions that came off the board. There were 4 of them. I said that this was way back. This was, I believe, last October. I said the Twins will finish with at least 85 wins next year, meaning 2025. They mathematically cannot finish with 85 wins. They already have 81. And as I check my phone here, they have 82 wins now, or losses now, on the season. So they cannot win 85 or more games. I said the Twins will win the AL Central in 2025. They are 19 games back, and they are less than 19 games left to play, so they are mathematically eliminated from winning the Central. I said Bailey Ober will win his next start. Not that the Twins would win Bailey Ober's next start. He will get credit for the win in his next start, and he did. That was the win this past weekend in Kansas City on Sunday. He was the victorious pitcher in that game. And then I said Griffin Jax has more. There were some rumors this past offseason that they were going to try to make him a starter. And I said that Griffin Jax will have more appearances as a reliever than a starter with a number of games left. Even if he starts the normal amount of starts, there's no way he's gonna be able to get more. And when I made this prediction, I did not specify with the Twins, so I had to keep it on the board until he was, again, if something happens here where he ends up starting every single game the rest of the season for the Rays, I will revisit this one. But for now, I am taking it off as a correct prediction. That leaves my total at 18 correct out of 65 total predicted for 28% correct. We've got 3 new predictions coming on the board here. Got a couple about the Yankees and then one about Torrey Hunter too. So I said first one is that the Yankees will sweep the Twins in that 3-game series in Minnesota. I said Torrey Hunter will be the coach or manager, will be a coach or the manager for the Twins in 2026. And Royce Lewis hits a home run against the Yankees in these 3 games. Now on to Rinkside Rundown. We will start with the Frost as they have, again, just not a ton of news, but there was one interesting thing. They, by they, I mean the PWHL as a whole, announced a deal with Bauer, where fans can now buy home replica jerseys for all rostered players. So that's pretty cool. If you want your own Minnesota Frost merchandise with players on the roster, you can get that now. So that's the biggest update here for the Frost. But let's move over to the Wild. 2 things here. One a lot bigger than the other, but we will start with one of them. That being the 2025 Tom Curver's Prospect Showcase. It will take place at the Trio Rink. This is a showcase between 3 teams and their prospects, basically, just the prospects of the teams. And it is the Minnesota Wild, the St. Louis Blues, and the Chicago Blackhawks. So all 3 of those teams will play two games, one against each of the other 2 teams. and yeah, just be able. It's all prospects coming up. So the Wild play the Blues at 7 p.m. on Friday night, September 12th. The Blackhawks and Blues play each other on Saturday, September 13th at 6 p.m. And then the Wild play the Blackhawks at 3 p.m. on Sunday, September 14th. Again, that I don't know. I don't know how long they are. That might interfere with the Vikings game on Monday night or Sunday night, excuse me. But yeah, just a cool thing. In the past, they have broadcasted this streamed it on YouTube, and I don't know if they are continuing that, but it will be. If it is, definitely check it out on YouTube. If not, go to it in person because it is open to the public. I don't know if I don't think it's free. I think you still have to buy a ticket, but it is open to the public. So yeah. As for the other report, the bigger report here today, it is Frank Cervelli reported that Kirill's camp met with the Wild's front office, and that his camp turned down a deal that is believed to be 8 years by $128 million. That would have been $16 million AAV. That would have been made him the highest paid player in NHL history, both by total dollar value and average annual value. And yeah, so two thoughts on this. Three thoughts actually. First and foremost, he did not decline this deal because of the dollar value. That is absolutely incorrect. He did not shut this down because it was only 120. He wanted more. There's no shot that he shot this down because of that. I think he shot this down, and this is my second point. I think there are I guess this is points 2 and 3. There are two possible reasons he shot this deal down. One, he doesn't want an 8-year deal. And that could very well be true. Or two, and I think this is the part that a lot of people are, the conclusion a lot of people are jumping to, he doesn't want to be in Minnesota. It could be either one of those two. And I personally have been going back and forth on it. I could see both of them being true. Not being surprised if it turns out he wants just a 4 to 6 year deal with the Wild and doesn't want to hang around that long. I could also see him I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't want to re-sign with the Wild, because they haven't done enough to prove to him that they are Stanley Cup contenders right now. They haven't. If you're Connor McDavid in Edmonton and you've lost back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, yes, you could say you could do more with the goaltending. And I think they do need a better goaltending. But at least they have put a team together that with McDavid is good enough to at least make it to the Stanley Cup final. The Wild haven't done that. They haven't. They barely put a roster around him that, if you take him out, barely makes the playoffs. And we saw it for 3 months last year. He was out for 3 months. And this team plummeted. They plummeted. They were a top 3 to 4 team in the Western Conference when he got hurt in late December. They were a top 3 to 4 team. But when the playoffs finally started, and when he came back, they were the 7th team in the Western Conference. And he was a top 3 to 4 team in the Western Conference when he got hurt. There was only like 1 or 2 teams in the Eastern Conference better than them. So they were like a top 6 team or so in the NHL. And without him, they plummeted. They tanked. They whatever word you want to use that means they sucked without him. That was it. And I think if you take McDavid off of the Oilers, I think they are a worse team, obviously. It's Connor McDavid. He's the best player in the league. But they still have Leon Draisaitl. They've got Zach Hyman. They've got other guys that can consistently step in for McDavid and take over for McDavid. Not to the level that McDavid's going to take over a game, but they can do things without McDavid that the Wild can't do without Kirill. And I think if he turns down this deal because he doesn't want to come back to Minnesota because of that, you can't blame him. You absolutely cannot blame him. So I start to get worried. About this deal. I'm on the DEFCON list. I am DEFCON 3 right now. I'm right in the middle. I am a little bit worried, but I'm not DEFCON 1. I think you go to DEFCON 2, move to DEFCON 2 if he is not signed by the first preseason game or the first regular season game. One of those two. Would you take your pick there? They're a couple weeks apart. They're basically the same day. If he is not re-signed by the start of the new calendar year, we move to DEFCON 1. We move to DEFCON 1. I look. This is just to me the truth of it. And again, you can't blame Kirill Kaprizov for the situation that the Wild have made themselves. You can't. And so this situation is brutal. It's brutal for fans. It's brutal for the team too, not knowing if their superstars is going to be playing alongside them or not. But you have no one else to blame except the front office. The only people to blame are in the front office. So that's just where I'm at right now. But the season moves on, basically. We are going to move on to predictions. We didn't have any come off the board for Rinkside Rundown. Again, when the two teams in two hockey teams that we cover in this segment aren't playing right now, we're not going to get a ton off the board at this point in the season. So at least the Wolves Den, the Timberwolves aren't playing, but the Lynx are, so we can get some stuff off the board. Not going to get anything off the board here for Rinkside Rundown. We'll get 3 things on the board, though. First thing, and I realize now I do have another spelling error in this one, in the first one. But first prediction is that Kirill doesn't sign with the Wild before November 1st. Or sign an extension, whatever you want to call it. He will not sign with the Wild before November 1st. I just have a gut feeling at this point. He's not going to do it. And if he doesn't sign with the Wild at all, if he signs somewhere else next summer, this still counts. Second prediction is that Philip Gustafsson signs an extension / re-signs with the Wild before Kirill does. I think Philip Gustafsson is going to play well enough to get himself another 1 to 2 year extension and see to do the tandem with Jesper Wallstedt. So I think Gustafsson gets another contract before Kirill does from the Wild. If Kirill somehow gets traded to the Rangers and re-signs there before Gustafsson does, this one still counts. Third and final prediction is that the Wild will lose 35 plus games in the 25-26 season. All right, final team segment here of episode 36. The Nordic Report So we will, again, we're going to bring back the team rankings here, and we will get into those first before we look back at this Monday night game against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. We'll look ahead to the Sunday night football game against the Atlanta Falcons, and then we've got a couple pieces of news here for this upcoming time here. So team rankings here. We'll start with the offense. Yards per game, 254 yards per game. Again, this will end up being averages on the entire season. But this first week, it is just how many they got in the first game. So 254 yards against the Chicago Bears. That is 26th. Points for, they scored 27. That is tied for 7th. On third down, they were 3 of 12, converted at a 25% rate. That is tied for 28th in the league. Fourth down, didn't go for a fourth down. Didn't include a ranking. Technically, they're dead last, but didn't include a ranking on that because you got to at least attempt a first down to be ranked. Yards per game on the defense, yards against per game, 317, that is 18th. Points against per game, that is 24, tied for 22nd in the NFL for 22nd fewest. Third down, they were 9 of 12 at a 35% stoppage rate. That is tied for third. Fourth down, they stopped them 1 of 1 times. That is 100% tied for first, obviously. As for the special teams, Will Reichert went 2 for 2 on field goals, 100%, obviously tied for first. His long on the field goal was that 59-yarder. That is tied for second in the entire NFL for the longest field goal of the season. The PAT, he is 1 for 1 on the extra point attempts. They went for 2 a couple times, so he only had 1 attempt. He is obviously 100% of one-on-one. That is tied for first. So let's get into the Monday night game here against the Bears. Absolutely horrible first 2.5 to 3 quarters of this game. They started to turn it around at the end of the third quarter and completely did in the fourth quarter. They were down 17-6 at the end of the third quarter. Up to that point, it looked like Will Reichert was the only one that actually wanted to be there. I do think there's a couple things here that I want to mention. First of all, J.J. McCarthy went 13 of 20 for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He got sacked 3 times. He had 98.5 passer rating and a 52.6 QBR. On the ground, he was 2 carries for 25 yards and a rushing touchdown. I did want to touch on that one sack or the 3 sacks really quickly. I didn't write them down, but I've got it pulled up here really quickly. This is according to Dov Kleeman. He tweeted this out about rookie left guard Donovan Jackson out of the Ohio State University. He allowed 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, 0 total pressures, and 0 hurries. That was also with the backup left tackle in. I thought Justin Skor played well for a backup. I don't think he played well in terms of just the standard left tackle in the NFL. I thought it was a fine backup performance, but he is not a guy you want starting all 17 games this season, which we do have a bit of Darisaw news that we will get to at the end, so stick around for that. But again, Donovan Jackson, absolutely phenomenal game. Probably the most impressive offensive lineman, just because he was a rookie and this was his first actual NFL game, not preseason game. So very impressive performance right there from the rookie guard from the Ohio State. Another guy I want to bring up, Jordan Mason. Again, probably the most consistently good offensive player this game. He had 15 carries for 68 yards. He was getting, 4 to 7 yards consistently on carries, and he seemed to be just chugging along. Aaron Jones struggled in the first half. I don't think he played that well in the first half. I think that's my biggest gripe with the play call. And I said I wanted them to run it more, and it seemed like they were running it more in the first half, but Aaron Jones wasn't doing that well in the first half, and they kept going back to him. And I agree, you do need to go back to the run, but when one running back is performing that much better than the other one, go to the one that's playing better. So that is my only gripe with the play call in the first half is from KOC. I don't think Brian Flores in the first half had a super, super good play call. I thought they could have brought pressure more at the beginning because Caleb Williams, when he did get flustered throughout this game and throughout the second half, I thought it took him a while to get back to that. So I thought they could have rushed 5. They were rushing 4 consistently throughout the entire first half, and I thought they could have rushed more than that and ended up and they could have flustered him more. And there was a couple times where he just barely got out, and if you had maybe one more guy in there, it would have ended up being a sack, or it would have been something that you stop him short of getting the first down when he would run for first downs. So the other thing too, on J.J. McCarthy, and we'll get into this now. Fourth quarter for J.J. McCarthy, absolutely fantastic. That was, I did see this on Twitter somewhere that said J.J. McCarthy improved more in 4 quarters of football than Caleb Williams has over an entire year. And again, based off of just the performance, that was tongue in cheek, but over the performance, that actually was true. J.J. McCarthy you could see him visually getting better. Like visually see him getting better throughout that game and more confident. And he was mean mugging KOC after, I believe, the 2-point conversion to Thielen, which again, another great 2-point conversion from Thielen. And I thought J.J. McCarthy could have had at least one more completion there, but one went straight through Justin Jefferson's arms. And Jefferson had a touchdown catch there. And again, I think you can point to almost, if not every single person on this offense and say that person contributed. I can name an exact play that person contributed on. And that is what you want. You don't want it to be only Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson getting the big plays on offense. And you want it to be to say Jordan Mason. He had a 8-yard run in the third quarter that ended up setting up another for an eventual first down, but it took a bunch of time off the clock too. And you want to say TJ Hawkinson on the JJ McCarthy rushing touchdown had one of the greatest blocks I have ever seen by a tight end. He ended up blocking, I forget who it was, but he ended up blocking the guy from like the 6-yard line all the way back to the goal line, and JJ ran right by him and scored the touchdown. Fantastic block by TJ Hawkinson. But I think the guy that had the biggest difference between expectation and actual performance was Miles Price, the returner, the punt and kick returner. They had on the kick returns, they had both Ty Chandler and Miles Price back there. On punt returns, it was just Miles Price. Between the two, he had 6 returns between the two. And I'm going to lump all of these together. He had 117 return yards. This is 19.5 yards per return throughout that game. Fantastic. He got a game ball from KOC after the game. Absolutely well-deserved. And again, I understand it's not just him out there. He's got blockers. But again, he's still got to make moves. And that was fantastic. I absolutely love that. Will Reichert, I think if he misses that 59-yarder the Vikings don't win this game. Not just because that would have taken 3 points off the board. By the way, the final score of this game was 27-24. I don't know if I said that exactly, but obviously, if Will Riker doesn't make that kick, the score is 24-24. But outside of that, take that part out of it. I think momentum-wise, if he doesn't make that kick, the Vikings don't win this game. That kept them, okay, at least we have something going for us in the first half. We have something going for us in the first half. And it was fantastic. So I thought that fourth quarter was the best quarter of football you could have asked for. Obviously, Ty Chandler looking to the sideline and KOC saying, take it out. And he did. And it took him longer than 2 seconds. So the Bears couldn't use the 2-minute warning as another timeout at the end of the game. Absolutely fantastic takeout, even though it probably was a lot to do with KOC. Fantastic takeout by Ty Chandler. So, again, I thought the defense, other than that first drive and a couple of times where like Pace was, unblocked coming up the middle and just falling over, it seemed like, other than a couple times like that, I thought the defense played fantastic. Like, they didn't give up 24 points because there was a pick six, which, again, J.J. McCarthy's interception there, bad interception. It did not look like he saw the defender at all before he tried to throw it to Justin Jefferson. It was a very bad interception. So, but again, that's going to happen. He is a first-year starting quarterback in the NFL. That is going to happen. So, again, Vikings are 1-0, tied atop the division with the Green Bay Packers at 1-0. And, yeah, they are on to the next one. Week 2 here is Sunday Night Football at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta lost to the Buccaneers in Week 1, 23-20. The Vikings hold the all-time record at 22-12 against the Falcons. Their last matchup was last year in Kirk's return to US Bank Stadium. They won 42-21 last year. So, again, we've got some predictions about this upcoming week that we will get to in just a moment, but we have some news here. We will start with the really good news. J.J. McCarthy won NFC Player of the Week. Congratulations to J.J. McCarthy, Offensive Player of the Week in the NFC. Again, that fourth quarter performance, absolutely fantastic. So, J.J. wins NFC Offensive Player of the Week. On to the injury report. Some not great things here. So, first two are not good at all. First bit of news, KOC confirmed today that both Ty Chandler and Blake Cashman will miss time. Obviously, in my opinion, Blake Cashman the bigger hit there. You still have Miles Price to be a returner alongside whoever Ty Chandler's replacement is back there. But Blake Cashman, also, I forgot to write his stuff down. Eric Wilson, who was Blake Cashman's backup, fantastic game. I'm not as worried about Cashman missing time as I was last year. Fantastic game by Eric Wilson. But again, you'd like to see Blake Cashman play in this game. Then the second one is he said that these two guys were able to finish the game, but both Jeff Okudah and Andrew Van Ginkel are in concussion protocol at this point. So we will see if the concussion protocol in the NFL is very thorough. So we will see if they can make it out of concussion protocol before the game against the Falcons. Two more things is that Harrison Smith and Christian Darrisaw continue to ramp up their practice. I do have a theory here. I think Christian Darrisaw did not play in the game against the Bears because of how bad Soldier Field's actual field was. They had something like 6 concerts there in the 2 weeks before the game, and it was all torn up. I think they didn't want to risk him getting hurt more. This will be all but confirmed for me if he plays against the Falcons on Sunday. But again, I thought the offensive line looked great without Christian Darrisaw. and it'll only get better with him. So that's fantastic to see. They also need Harrison Smith back. The secondary specifically the safeties looked a little shaky there, but if they get him back, I think that will be a huge improvement. And then final thing here that KOC confirmed today is that Xavier Scott and Elijah Williams will return to practice. So again, great thing to see there. Moving on to predictions here, had a lot come off the board. Again, beginning of the season was a deadline for a lot of predictions I have made. But yeah, I will do this here. So had a ton of things come off the board. We'll start with the bad, and I'll just go through them quickly here. Four things were wrong. Said the Vikings will beat the Bears by more than 3 points. It was exactly 3 points. Said the defense allows less than 10 points. They did not. Week 1 offensive line is Darrisaw, Jackson, Kelly, Fries, O'Neal. Obviously, 4 of those were correct, but I thought the big thing here was Darrisaw was going to be back, and he was not. So it was School, Jackson, Kelly, Fries, and O'Neal. And then I said Vikings sign a cornerback with 17 plus career starts this offseason, and they did not. But then on to the good here. Kobe King makes the Week 1 53-man roster. He did. Said the Vikings will win the season opener. They did. Vikings score 21 plus points. They did. I said the Vikings make another signing of 10 plus millions before preseason Week 1. This should have come off the board a while ago, but I am counting this as correct because they did sign Josh Metellus to an extension of $12 million per year, and it was a multi-year deal. So either way you slice it, it was over $10 million. So I'm counting that correct. You can fight me down in the comments about it if you disagree, but I am counting this as correct. When I made this, I probably thought it was going to be an outside signing, like a veteran or something like that, but I am counting this as correct. Another correct one is that the Vikings will have a new starting center and or 2 new offensive guards in Week 1 in 2025. That was basically confirmed when they made those signings and then drafted Donovan Jackson. I just wanted to make sure we waited until Week 1 because I did not want to jinx this by taking it off earlier. And then I said Carson Wentz. I said this back in like March or April. So I am very proud of this prediction. This one came off the board. I made this back. I've got it. Let me pull it up here, which episode it was. This was Wentz's QB2. This was episode 18 that I made this prediction. So this was almost 20 episodes ago that I made this prediction. So that one is correct. He was the QB2. And again, he was the QB2 for at least one game. I'm counting this as correct. So that brings my totals up to 25 correct predictions out of 66 total predicted. And that is 38% total. All right, so I messed up on that. I hit the stop recording button a little too early. I forgot that I hadn't made my predictions yet. So I've got 3 here. First, Vikings beat the Falcons on Sunday Night Football. I think the Vikings are going to win this week. J.J. McCarthy throws 3+ touchdown passes against the Falcons. I think he is going to continue that fourth quarter magic. And then Jordan Mason will score a touchdown against the Falcons this week. All right, final segment here today. We've got the power rankings, which if you are new to the 301 show, we take a Minnesota sports topic and rank the top 10 version of these whatever the topic is. So today we are going to be doing the top 10 jerseys/uniforms in Minnesota sports history. Coming in here, in my opinion, at number 10 is the current alternate home jersey is what they're calling it. That is the cream-colored Twin Cities script across the chest Twins jerseys that they have. They wear them on Sundays, and I think they look Absolutely fantastic. We'll try to put pictures up too of all of these jerseys. Number 9 is the 2023 to present Gophers hockey alternate jersey. It's the yellow ones with the alternate logo on it. Moving on to number 8 here, the 97 to 08 Timberwolves alternate jersey. Timberwolves alternate jersey. This is the black jersey that they are considering bringing back. It is the one with all of the trees along the collar and then where the sleeves, the non-sleeves stop there. Again, fantastic jersey. Number 7, the 2020 to 22 Vikings Color Rush jersey. This is the all-purple uniform with the yellow lettering on it. I absolutely love these jerseys from the Vikings. At number 6 here, we have the Warman 2023 week. I think it was actually last year's when they wore, or maybe it was 2 years. I can't remember, but it's the throwback jerseys that they have. Again, absolutely fantastic jersey. These jerseys are absolutely amazing. And yeah, they come in at number 6. We'll put this cover back up and pull up the 1 through 5 here. Number 5 here, the Winter Warrior jersey. This is the whiteout, and not just jersey. This is the entire uniform. The white helmet with the gray and the purple. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, great whiteout jerseys here for the Vikings. Moving on now to number 4. This is the Twins road jersey. This is the baby blue Twins jersey. I personally love it. I think the baby blue works with both the jerseys and the pants. But yeah, fantastic road jerseys here for the Twins back in the Rod Carew era. Number 3 is the 87 to 14 Twins home jersey. This is the pinstripe, the World Series home jerseys, pinstripes. Both jerseys and pants have pinstripes. It says Twins in cursive across the front. Again, fantastic jerseys here. Number 2 here is the 06-07 Wild home jersey. This is the original green jersey from the Wild. It's got the great lettering on it, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. It's something I think they should bring back as like an alternate jersey or something like that. But coming in at number 1 is the North Stars Kelly Green, or like bright green, not Kelly Green, bright green jerseys. I think this is the best jerseys that Minnesota sports have ever had. All right, that'll do it for us here at the 301 show. Want to thank you for tuning in to episode 36. Hope you come back for next week's episode 37. We'll get into a lot more topics like we did today. Comment down below, email the show, frozennorth30@gmail.com. If you have any questions, concerns, if you have any topic ideas for the power rankings, please do let me know. Yeah, and we will see you next time. Episode 37 up next. Peace.